Welcome to another episode of Obscured Reality. Join your hosts, Mark and Stephanie, as they take you through a journey of the extraordinary, bizarre, and often frightening world of the unknown. Explore topics of the paranormal, UFOs, alien abduction, lost civilizations, mythical monsters, and other unexplained mysteries. Come along with us as we transcend into another dimension of obscured reality.
Welcome back to Your Mom's Obscured Reality. Haha, your mom and my mom, Stevie, Mark, back at you again. Stevie, how the hell is it hanging tonight? Jesus Christ.
To the left?
Yeah. There you go. To the left. I prefer the right. I don't know why. Probably because I was always taught the right hand of God.
Ooh.
Well, we're not going to get into that, but my right hand. Oh, yeah. We got I don't know. Interesting to me tonight. And old, but first it's time for some jalapeno pineapple margarita.
Ooh.
Oh, girl.
Okay. That sounds good as fuck. All right.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Get it. Watch me open it on camera here.
I have
What's
this guy
that?
tonight. This is
I'll
a
let you
disposable.
describe that before I tell you what I see.
This is a 0.3 disposable that I
They're all
got from my boyfriend's Halloween party at his dispensary.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, free stuff.
I don't do those, but that for you, that's probably a good thing. Works.
Look, my dad just started trying edibles not that long ago.
Do we want to advertise that?
It's not a big deal.
Good.
Everyone in the family is like fucking dumbfounded by it.
Well, he probably found something new that he likes.
Well, he's been having problems sleeping, and my sister is actually the one who brought it up to him, and he was like, "Well, I'll try it," and I'm like,
I don't do drugs of any kind. Never have. Don't ever want to. However, I got gummies at one point. A friend talked me into them. He was having trouble sleeping after a sibling died, in front of him, tried to revive all that stuff. So he wound up getting those and trying them. He's like, "You got to check these out." I'm like, "Okay." So I wound up getting some, and I won't tell you about the first time I tried it. The first time didn't do anything, but I tried the 5 milligram. The second time I did the 10, perfect. And I won't explain that one because there's no need. But I only use them once in a while, and this last time I used almost every time I've used them, the 10s. What happens is I feel them. It takes a while, at least like 20, 30 minutes to kick in, it seems. And then I feel them if I'm not doing anything. And I'll feel them and it's cool, whatever. And then if I stand up and start moving around, it just goes away immediately. And then if I sit back down, it takes a few minutes and it starts coming back. But what happens every time when I go to bed and I lay down, I'll lay down and I'll feel more comfortable than I typically do. And I'll hang like an arm off the bed or arms up on the pillow, whatever, right? Every time what's happened is a different part of my body has felt like it's fallen asleep. And I don't mean bad falling asleep, like if you sit in a position too long and your foot or your leg starts falling asleep, that's uncomfortable. I just mean like dead, like kind of really good, And what happens is each time a different body part just starts falling asleep and you can feel it just go numb and you're like, oh my God, that's weird. And then like in no time, once you feel that, your whole body is just and then you're out. And last time it was my lip. I was laying there and all of a sudden it just felt like my bottom lip just got super heavy and just went like Novocaine. And then I was out and it was morning. Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly
So
what Larry's using them for. So, I mean, it's cool. Technically, it is legal in his state, so it's not that big of a deal.
yeah, if it's illegal, retired
Yeah,
too. I mean, who cares?
yeah,
I just don't
exactly.
drive.
But I just, oh no, it's strictly for sleep. So that's interesting. So anyone who
Yeah,
knows my dad has like absolutely shit a brick over this. So, but
nothing
yeah,
wrong with
so
that. Well, you want to take some guesses tonight's story?
UAPs.
Let me give you a hint.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that?
I see the side of it. It looks
Oh, you do?
could be like
Let
the
me.
mushroom. Could be an alien head. There we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Little
A
alien
little
head,
gray
neon sign.
alien.
Yeah, I got those. About time. I mean, I've had those. It's about time I started using these things
They're kind of
for.
cute.
Yeah, depending on the story here. Yeah, it's not really aliens. It's more what you said first, UAPs. But we all know UAPs are flown by fucking aliens. So
Yeah.
there you
Common
go,
knowledge.
guys.
Common knowledge.
Everybody knows this. That's why nobody wants to talk about it.
Yes. Because we all already
yeah.
know it. Yeah.
Well, let's tonight start out with a photo. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to start with a photo. What's that look like to you?
A black
It's
screen.
pretty obvious. You see a black screen, huh?
There we go. It loaded. An airplane or
Yeah. It's
yeah.
a crashed airplane. Pilot died.
That sucks. I mean, I don't know if much that could
What-
survive that.
What stands out to you about this besides the fact that there's a plane demolished on the ground and people standing around?
I cannot from this picture determine which. Like I can see the wing, but like this main section right here.
Well, no, don't focus on the plane.
Okay,
Just
I was
in
gonna say, I don't
general,
really
just
know.
looking at the photo, what stands out to you? Does anything stand out to you?
Why are there so many people in the background?
No.
No, that's just the first thing that I thought of. Like, why are we all hovering around this? But
I was going for the era here. The age of this photo.
I mean, what is it? The 1940s?
19 something. Jesus, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
planes
definitely.
were common then.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying they weren't. I'm not saying they weren't common. Of course they were. Just focus. We got something old here, which is interesting because we're talking about UAPs. I mean, that looks pretty old by those people in those clothes and stuff. Yeah, we're talking 1948.
Called it.
Yeah.
So
But what could that crash plane have to do with UAPs? Anybody want to guess?
Did they think it was a UAP and not an airplane? I don't know.
Well, let me tell you. This happened in the afternoon of January 7th, 1948. Technical Sergeant Quentin Blackwell received a call in the control tower of Godman Army Airfield at Fort Knox, Kentucky. The Highway Patrol reported a strange object floating above a farm in nearby Maysville. No one at Godman, including the base commander, could identify it. Okay, we're just starting there, and we're just stopping there for a minute. So, people saw something that they could not identify hovering, floating above a farm in
Cornville.
in Kentucky.
Corntown.
Yeah. And no one from the Army Airfield, Godman Army Airfield, including the base commander, could identify it. What that tells me is that there may be a possibility that this was maybe called in, right? They received the call from the control tower, and these people probably went out there and took a look before the next events happened. And they saw this at this point after the call. That is my assumption only from what I'm reading here. So that's interesting. And the reason I'm saying that is because if we read anything about a goddamn weather balloon or a flock of birds in here, you got numerous people now from an Army airfield that have gone out there, including a general who's probably seen some stuff. And not a general, I'm sorry, a base commander. And out of all those people that went out there, they couldn't figure out what this was. And you'd think if it was a weather balloon, at least one of them would be like, That's
Well,
probably a
that's what it's
balloon. That's
yeah.
probably a flock of birds. Whatever.
Right.
So here we have a citizen calling it into the airfield. The Army comes out, a few people, base commander, they see it, they can't identify it. So at 14:45 that day, that would be 2:45 p.m. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A flight of 4 Mustangs under flight leader Mantell was dispatched to check out the object, which appeared to be hovering. Mantell radioed the tower saying he would investigate. I've always liked those airplanes. The P-51 Mustangs, those things are awesome. I'd love to have one.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, wouldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
I would. So Mantell climbed to 15,000 feet and reported the object was metallic and it is tremendous in size. Now, before we go saying there's no way it's nothing, we also do need to remember weather balloons are huge. They're massive. Massive. I don't know the exact size, but I was reading about, you remember the Chinese spy balloons?
Yeah.
And how at the same time, I believe it was right after all that happened, there was some UAP over Alaska again, and they went and shot it down, and they've never recovered wreckage, supposedly.
Yeah, I
and they
remember that.
won't release anything on it. However, when they went and shut down these Chinese spy balloons, or the one they shot down, they're like, oh, photo. Here you guys go. Here it is before we did it, blah, blah, blah. But this one, they won't tell you anything about. So the object that was over Alaska was reported by one of the pilots. They called it in and said that basically it was described much smaller than a weather balloon. It was about the size of a car. So if this thing was much smaller than a weather balloon and it was about the size of a car, you can just take a wild guess at about how large a weather balloon is. I mean, they're massive. And they look weird too at different altitudes, different pressures. They change shape. Yes. So Mantell, 15,000 feet, metallic and tremendous in size. It was moving at half his speed, even as it hovered above him. Okay. So he can't hover. He's in an airplane. Airplanes don't hover. This thing was going half his speed, therefore it wasn't hovering. I'm kind of confused on the wording here, but in other words, all I'm getting is however fast he's moving, this thing is going about half his speed. At least that's what he's seeing, thinking, realizing. The pilot then said he would climb higher. He ascended to 22,000 feet, but his wingmen hung back because they didn't have oxygen equipment. So it makes me wonder, should Mantell be going up? Mantell didn't either, but he continued to climb. God damn it, I'm going to find out, and I'll hold my breath, and not for long, though.
No.
Okay, so at 3:10 p.m., Mantell was the only pilot still chasing the object. The last time anyone saw his plane, he was still ascending. Interesting. 5 minutes later, everyone lost visual and radio contact with him. At 3:53 p.m., the object disappeared. Search and rescue teams discovered Mantell's remains and the wreckage of his airplane scattered across a half mile on a nearby farm. His watch had stopped at 15:18, so 3:18 p.m. Yeah. The Army determined that Mantell lost consciousness when he tried to climb above 20,000 feet without oxygen equipment. Witnesses on the ground reported a plane circling in a dive before crashing. The wreckage revealed that the pilot's canopy lock was in place, meaning he didn't try to bail out. All signs pointed to Mantell being unconscious and unable to control the aircraft. Yeah? Okay, cool.
Yep, that makes sense. Yes.
Does it? Good. Well, this is a good spot to pause and say, fucking like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below, all the normal shit. I stress this every time. You have 45 subscribers. Technically, that's probably about somewhere between 35 to 40 because the other ones are us and probably a couple other people.
Yeah.
If you got a story of your own, you want us to tell it for you, shoot us an email, obscuredr1@gmail.com. Type story in the subject line and tell us your story in the body, of course. We'll tell the story for you anonymously if you'd like. That's totally fine. If you want to be on the show, bam, super easy to do. We can do that. You call in, video or not, anonymously or not, up to you. And you can tell your own story. And we can have a chat, maybe a drink or two, and have some fun. Stevie, the rest is all you.
Something about a bell, hitting it, subscribing it, getting notifications. Every Friday, 8 Pacific, Eastern. There we go. Said it in the correct order that
There
time.
you
Proud of
go.
myself. Yeah, no, for real. Sometimes we have episodes that drop during the week, especially considering like what's going on in the news, if there's anything like relevant and prevalent right at that time. But for the most part, every Friday, you're gonna hear a little bit from us. Join in the conversation. Comment down below. Email us at obscuredr1@gmail.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
also, I said comment down below. I'm trying some new tricks out with some lighting. So my lighting on my face should make me look more pleasant. Hide some of the features. If it looks like shit, let me know. I'm going to find out once I start editing. But by that point, it's going to be too goddamn late, so it doesn't matter.
We're going to
But
be
comment,
4
let us
or 5
know.
more episodes in with the bad
Yeah.
lighting.
Yeah, let us know. Let me know. And I don't want to hear shit about Stevie's video. She's calling in, and the way this program works, they only allow up to a certain pixels, unless you want to
so
pay more, which is no fucking point. So I don't want to hear shit about her. Give me shit. I'll give her shit.
he does.
Yeah, well, you give me
Yeah.
shit. You got me good last time, I think. All right, so as for the object, the incident was first investigated by the Air Force's Project Sign, a precursor to Blue Book. Did I hear that correctly? The Air Force?
Air Force? Wow.
We don't investigate UFOs. We've never had a program investigating UFOs. It'll never happen. Also, we're not even going to tell you we don't investigate them because we don't talk at all about the topic of UFOs or UAPs.
We don't talk about Bruno.
Mums. Yes. Mantell's death caused a media frenzy, and the Air Force needed a quick explanation for the press. They told reporters that Mantell died while chasing. This gets me every time. While chasing the planet Venus, since it was in the sky at the time and was the brightest object. So let's take a pause. You know, this article said.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, okay. This article said
That's rude.
his death caused a media frenzy, and the Air Force needed a quick explanation for the press. So what I want to know is whoever wrote this article, how do they know that the Air Force needed a quick explanation?
Probably because they, like us, were like, chasing Venus? Oh, okay, bullshit. Like, they probably had some form of critical thinking skills, and
yeah, I don't know, but I just want to know how that is. And my point in saying that is that that little portion, the Air Force needed a quick explanation for the press. That is most likely just an opinion of whoever wrote the article. I want to point that out. There's probably no evidence of that. But chasing the planet Venus, okay? I mean, guys, we've heard this before. Chasing a planet. What they saw was a planet. And, you got to point out, there's a possibility that, I think a slight chance at least, that could be possible in any given situation. The reason why is you're in an airplane and you're moving. So other lights look like they're moving. It's hard to tell. It's like if you're standing on the ground, that's going to be the best way is if you're still and you're looking up. If you want to see if a light is moving, you need to be still. If you're moving, almost all bets are off because you're not triangulating anything. Almost all bets are off. But even if you're standing on the ground and you look up at the stars, if you don't realize and you're like slightly swaying to the right or left, it could look like any particular star that you're looking at is slightly moving, even though it's not,
Right.
But, this guy's in an airplane. That's fine. But I have to throw out this Planet Venus bullshit. Here's why. Because the fucking pilot's dead. Right? So there's no commentary from this pilot as to what was going on, what he was seeing, where it was at in the sky, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Air Force to come out and say he died while chasing the planet Venus, well, I'm sorry, you have zero evidence of that. No proof, no evidence of that, because the guy's dead. You can't talk to him. I mean, come on. Let's not be dicks here, guys. He's one of yours. Come on. They said that because it was in the sky at the time and it was the brightest object. Yeah, it's bright, but I'm sorry. So this absurd reasoning was accepted despite the incident occurring in mid-afternoon when Venus was a small pinpoint of light in the sky. For more than a year, newspaper editors accepted the Venus explanation. In the Air Force, it became the most researched UFO case to that point. Yeah, the most researched that you know about.
Yeah.
So, we're going to start hearing names. Captain Edward J. Ruppelt. We've all heard him before. The officer who would take over all Air Force UFO investigations. I'm sorry. Take over what?
All Air Force U.S. investigations. The things that they claim they do not do. Yes.
The government claims they've never investigated.
Never.
And with me, government, military go hand in hand. Military is an extension of the government, right?
Oh, very much so, yes.
Right. All the grunts doing all the real work, they're not, for the most part, not political. They have no connection with the political parties and all that bullshit. But it's when you start getting higher up in the ranks and you get to the top dogs in the military, they're the ones talking to the president or other officials in the government, and then
they're the round table motherfuckers that are making the choices.
And they're handing down the orders, which are then getting handed down, blah, blah, blah. So, so Ruppelt took over the investigations. He called the investigation a masterpiece in the art of weasel wording. That is nice to hear from someone who worked with the Air Force at the time.
I love this phrasing, and I shall be using it from henceforth. Weasel wording.
I hope so.
Do not weasel word me.
Yeah, if you're using that, I'm expecting you're probably you should be saying that in one of our next episodes at some point. So he took over the Air Force UFO investigations in 1951,
and things that do not exist.
Yep, one of his first tasks was revisiting the 1948 Mantell incident. Project Sign had been renamed Project Grudge by this time. Interestingly, they misspelled that in the article and they put Project Grunge. Or maybe they didn't misspell and they did that on purpose. And Ruppelt reorganized and reinvigorated UFO investigations. Ruppelt's final report, the report on unidentified flying objects, details how he picked apart the initial investigation. The Ohio State astronomer who first created the Venus theory, not surprised, Dr. J. Allen Hynek. Hynek, where have we never heard that name before? Immediately recanted the idea once Ruppelt began reinvestigating the crash. Since Hynek rejected the possibility that Venus was Mantell's target, Ruppelt went back to square one, looking at eyewitness descriptions of the object itself. Okay, I'm sorry. Number one, J. Allen Hynek, good guy. He's been in this topic for a long time since he got the start. And one of the major things that was a downplay for him is when he called something swamp gas. He called a UFO swamp gas. People, he was lambasted for that. And he's like, later, he looked into the stuff more and he was like, I'm sorry, not swamp gas. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it most likely wasn't swamp gas. And he actually gained a lot of respect. Good guy. He's since passed away. Not that long ago, if I remember correctly, which I probably don't, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't that long ago. So, you know, so now this guy Ruppelt goes back to square one and he starts looking at descriptions from eyewitnesses.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, why the fuck wouldn't you do that from the get-go? Forget that you have an Air Force pilot that went up, but why wouldn't you go after witness descriptions as well? You want all the data. You don't know what the shit is. You don't have any idea what it is, any clue. You want to know, is this one of our adversaries or not? Something from them? You don't know. Why wouldn't you go after eyewitness descriptions from the beginning? It makes no sense. Shit dumbfounds me. I just don't get it. You know, I'm not a studied person. I hate school. You know, I'm probably smart to an extent, but you know, like, I get that. It just makes no sense. Like, of course you would want to do that. You should have done that from the beginning. Why wasn't it done from the beginning? Makes no sense. Based on these accounts, including that of an astronomer at Vanderbilt University who saw the UFO with a telescope, he concluded that it was most likely a skyhook balloon, a secret U.S. Navy atmospheric testing program that used high-altitude balloons to collect data. Let me explain. If I'm not mistaken, the skyhook balloon was something they were testing so they could collect data, but then they could fly along a big old fucking aircraft, a huge, like a C-130 style aircraft, whatever the equivalent was back then, with a big hook on the bottom, and whoop, scoop that balloon up with that hook, fly away. The balloon never lands on the ground. They don't have to let it go and hope it comes back somewhere they can retrieve it, right? They can get it over another country, and when it goes out over the ocean, they can zoom by and grab it with this tail hook. I believe that is what this whole Project Skyhook's about. The old Skyhook Project Skyhook. Sorry, guys. The whole Skyhook balloon thing is. Where are you going to stay, CDB?
No, like that's makes sense. The whole hook thing, because they use hooks to catch and release planes when they come in and land on carriers for like.
Well, yeah. Well, now that's an art form in and of itself. Oh, guys, comment down below. Who do you think she's yelling at? Is it a guy? Is it the other boyfriend? The other boyfriend or an animal? You comment down below. Moving on.
It's a dog.
Hey, man, just trying
and
to get
not
some
the
comments.
X, like an actual four-legged dog.
Not the what?
The X.
I didn't say X.
I did.
I know, but I didn't.
But I did.
If it was the X, I'd probably be on a plane.
No.
I'd be wanting to take a plane flight out.
No,
there
I said it was
quick.
a dog. I said it was a dog, and I just had to clarify the dog is the actual dog, not the X. That's the dog.
Okay, I was gonna say I hope your X isn't a dog, or your dog's not your X. That's
he's
illegal still.
He a dog.
Guys.
He a dog. No, I was yelling at the old one.
Nothing wrong with that. So yes, you're right. They land planes on aircraft carriers using a tail hook, right? These are on smaller planes and all that bullshit. And that's an art form in and of itself. It's you got to be on point, you know.
But the idea is already being implemented. Is really where I was going with that.
Yeah. Now, but there's a big difference. I would argue that there may be a chance that landing on an aircraft carrier might be safer than the skyhook balloon thing. Here's the deal. When they come in on a carrier and they land, as soon as they hit that fucking deck, they hit full fucking throttle immediately in case that hook misses. That way they don't go off the front and crash into the goddamn water.
Yeah.
Okay? Of course, you also have a chance of coming in too low and implanting yourself and becoming one with the carrier. But that's not with this whole skyhook balloon thing, you're talking about air currents, wind patterns, different things going on up in there. You got this plane flying by, and you got to be spot on. You don't want to fucking hit the thing. You don't want to be anywhere this thing's going to catch onto the plane, hit an engine, none of that shit. So, you got to be careful, right? So,
for sure. But I mean, they also have the ability of like refueling planes mid-flight. So I mean, like precision is kind of a thing that they do. So I can imagine that it would be hard, yes, but I could imagine that it'd still be able to get done.
By the way, this jalapeno pineapple margarita mix is actually pretty good.
Dude, that sounds so fucking good, dude.
It's not bad. You know, you should move out to my area.
That ain't happening.
And once you do, you can start recording over here. It'd be much better. It'd be better interaction. And I provide drinks. Just saying. All right, so now we're hearing something that's of a better explanation. Possibly, he thinks it was most likely a skyhook balloon.
Mhm.
That's better than hearing weather balloon, okay?
Yeah.
But now I want to know, are skyhook balloons metallic? Who knows? So, when Mantell was climbing to intercept the object, there was no way he would have known about skyhook. Of course, Ruppelt believed that a balloon was launched from Clinton County Air Force Base, Ohio. The balloons were metallic. There we go. The balloons were metallic and enormous, consistent with Mantell's description of the UFO. It was the most likely explanation, at least much more likely than chasing the planet Venus.
That's just insulting. I'm sorry.
Look.
If you rule on a quick response, like the article said, then yeah, that chasing Venus. But
here's the deal: if you're chasing a planet, right, because it's a bright light and maybe it's so clear and you're up high enough you can see the stars and all that shit during midday, and you happen to see the planet Venus you think is a fucking UFO, and you start chasing it in an airplane, you got to remember that planet's staying there. Obviously, the stars are moving in the sky, right? Each star is moving. Our planet's rotating, orbiting around the sun, all that, right? So you got all this movement. But in the terms of just looking at those stars, they're slow moving. Like with the naked eye, you got to watch it for a while to notice, right? You got to pinpoint it and mark it with, you have to have something else to contrast that with. You're in an airplane. My guess is if you're chasing a planet, you're going to point the airplane at it and you're going to go towards it. It's never going to get brighter. It's never going to get dimmer. It's always going to stay almost at the same point on the horizon. And no matter how high you go, it's still going to stay in the same goddamn spot.
That's what I'm assuming.
Therefore, not something in our atmosphere, most likely a star. I don't think this guy flying the plane was a fucking idiot. I think the guy who said Planet Venus was a fucking idiot.
Yes.
So
I completely agree. You can't really be a fucking idiot and fly an aircraft. Like, I try to do the aircraft simulator thing, you know, in the whole like career whatever bullshit forced class A make you take in high school.
What kind of simulator are you using? What game is it?
It was some career prep class that you had to take in like 9th grade in high school, and one of the things was like a airplane simulator for one of the modulars, and I crashed that plane every fucking time.
Yeah.
Like I could never be a pilot. I don't know. And then all the instruments on the panels. Yes. But then all the instruments on the paneling, like that's a lot. That's a lot. You can't be a dumbass and fly a plane.
Here's the thing. Flying an airplane is really easy if it's just the basics. If you're just using the stick and the throttle, it's fairly easy for the most part, and flaps and that. But for the most part, that's not hard. For me, where it comes in to be really hard is when you get into the entire control panel and the navigation. Now, you have things like you have the different things on there that show you your altitude, your airspeed. That's easy. You have the thing that shows, forget the name of it, but the horizon. And it's like a gyroscopic thing, and it shows you your horizon, and it shows you if you're turning either way, how high, basically if you're pointed up or down. That shit's all easy, but it's the navigation, the radios, the putting in this frequency and this one, and all that shit I don't get. But when you're talking about smaller planes like a Cessna, also, you're talking about you have to have knowledge on the engine.
I can't land them. You
have to have knowledge on the engine to run the fucking thing. So you got to prime it, you got to do all this stuff, and you got to start it up. And once it's not cold and the engine's warming up, you got to do this and that. And then when you're flying, you may have to adjust some of that. That shit, I just don't get. I mean, I could get it. I've just never studied it. But ultimately, what really trips people up in the flying and why I think people think it's so hard is just the stick, just controlling the plane. The basic function of just pull back is up and go forward is down is just a very sometimes difficult concept for people. It's not really that difficult. A little bit of practice, you get it, but
But
slow,
these are also
steady
military
movements.
planes that we're talking about.
Yeah,
So,
it don't matter.
I
Doesn't matter. It's the same.
think they're a little smarter than a
Ultimately,
Cessna.
well, yeah, but ultimately, it's the same concept to an extent.
I just don't think an average Joe could fly a plane.
Depends.
So yeah,
Depends.
I'm just
As long as you
agreeing
don't get
that this
that shit
dude's
turned
not
around in your
stupid.
head. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're almost done here. Well, almost done.
We always
Ruppelt,
say that.
yeah, Ruppelt would stay on as director when the UFO investigation was renamed Project Blue Book in 52. In 1960, Ruppelt died of a sudden, unexpected heart attack at age 37. That's the end of what I got, but I got a comment on that. Typically, aren't heart attacks sudden and unexpected?
Yes.
I mean, in a way, I know
Yes.
you have your people that are very unhealthy, and you could look at them. There's plenty of people you could look at on any given day and be like, if they died of a heart attack tomorrow, I wouldn't be shocked, right? But then you do have people like sports players, people that are just constant exercise, rigorous exercise. You'd think the best stuff in the world, and boom, they died of a heart attack, like on the field, and you're like, what? How?
I
Maybe
actually
steroids.
well, I know
You
someone
never know.
who has a heart issue and she
Yeah.
works out because of the heart issues. So, like, but to a point, like not it's a catch-22, really. You're working out to make your body stronger so your heart doesn't work so hard. But while you're working out, you're making your heart work harder. Like it's a catch-22.
Yeah, but you're making your heart stronger.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, like push it too far. Shit, a girl just died of a heart attack caused by a caffeinated drink the other week. So, like anything really can trigger a heart attack. It doesn't matter your age, but yeah, sudden and even with like pre-existing conditions, a heart attack is like kind of still a sudden instant thing.
Yeah. That verbiage has always gotten me. But so
Sudden heart attack.
That's the end of the story, but let's take a look at the photo once more. We can see this back from 19 something way back when.
1948, I believe you said.
Yes, ma'am. And this is the picture of the plane crash. And
low-key looks like the Batmobile up front. Sorry, that's what I saw initially, and I still see the Batmobile.
See, I
Crash,
see something
burned
different.
out Batmobile.
I see something different looking at that big, looking at the prop sticking up on the left. It looks like a big log. I see something different, but yeah. So here's his plane crash, chasing a UFO. I mean,
chasing Venus.
I mean, a skyhook balloon. I mean, get the fucking story straight.
Yeah, right.
So I want to hear, I mean, I would prefer to hear some of what we just heard, as well as the witness descriptions. That's what we need. That's what we need. Everyone's. You can't do this. He's in the Air Force. We'll listen to what he said, and that's it. And for screw the people on the ground. Well, why? Why? Because they're common everyday folk. Because they're farmers. Because they're a banker. Because the guy's homeless. That doesn't mean that person doesn't have a good description of what they saw. We know everyone's description could vary, but you take from that what you can, and you piece together the commonalities, and you get a story. And that's how it works. So
Concepts.
that's harder than flying a fucking plane for a lot of people, I think. Especially when it comes to government, military, and it's really not that hard for them. It's just that that's what they put out, and they put it out for a reason. Right? Whether it's planet Venus, whatever,
Jesus
dude.
Christ.
So
I can't with that.
Stevie,
Venus.
What do you think about tonight's story? Where you want to go with this?
Once again, the Air Force and they're not investigating of things that they definitely investigated but forgot they investigated.
No, they didn't. None of it.
Right?
None of it's true.
I plead the fifth.
It's true that it's not true, but it's true.
So I mean, it's interesting because it's definitely there's just a continuous history of something going on, and as much as I would like to be like aliens, like until we have that concrete proof, I can just be like aliens. Let's hope.
Right.
But I really one day want to be like as confident as that guy on Ancient Aliens is. With the crazy hair, George Stephanopoulos, whatever his name. Cannot pronounce his last name. Yeah, I want to be as confident as him one day when I go aliens.
Well, there's a lot of controversy around him, and it's just because of what he does.
I was just expressing his love.
Yeah, you're all for him.
No. I was just using his excitement as like a reference.
I will say what he does is for entertainment, right? It's on it's on TV, right? So it's got to be entertaining. Yeah. So I get that. And I've heard him in his
hair has been entertaining since season 1.
Yeah, see that doesn't help, even though it shouldn't matter. But I've seen him in actually some interviews where he's just down to earth, not on the show.
Yeah,
and I get a much better vibe from him. I like him a lot better. I have no problem with him in the TV shows, but in the one-on-one, just an interview like on a podcast, much more down to earth and much more open and honest about what he really thinks. You got to remember the TV show isn't about what he thinks or feels or cares about. It's about entertainment and making money. So it is nice to hear because it gives me a little more confidence in the guy and that he's, you got to take the TV show for what it is and just leave it at that. But him as a person, I mean, he comes off a lot better when you get to hear him in person. Same with David Grush. We hear him in the congressional hearings, and the very first one he was in, I was like, oh, this guy's throwing up red flags everywhere. And I'm not the only one. Like professional, what do you call them? Facial reading,
body
mannerisms.
Readers,
yeah. They were like, oh, no. There's something off here. Like what he's saying may be the truth to him, but that doesn't mean that what he was being told was true. Something's off, But then I saw him on an actual podcast, which I explained a few episodes back, and way more down to earth. I got a much better feeling from the guy. He was professional, but he wasn't in the professional setting. He wasn't he was still having to watch his words, but not. He could be
as
more
strictly,
open and down. He could be more down to earth, and he was, and I got a much better feeling from him because he wasn't. We didn't have the same facial expressions from him and stuff, but yeah, I don't know. You think Planet Penis? Do you think Skyhook Balloon? What's going on here with you? What do you think? You think they really saw something interesting other than a balloon?
Again, I want to be like aliens, but until the concrete proof comes out,
but we got to be real.
Aliens. I'm really kind of on the whole Skyhook balloon thing, like just because that makes pretty damn good sense.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going to go with that. That's interesting.
That's makes sense. Yeah, I didn't even know something like that existed, but like, if that's a thing, then that
it's a goddamn thing.
Well, if that's a goddamn thing, then I'm gonna go with that's probably what it was. But the same, especially if it was like what you said, it was Navy, versus like Air Force people. So, I don't think that the Air Force would know Navy stuff. So I mean, I guess I can see that. That's really where I'm leading. Yeah. I'm done rambling. Yep, that's it. Final answer.
Just for reference, here's some pictures. I don't know how much of these are Skyhook balloons. Looks like this one right here is. We'll take a look at this one before we wrap it up. Looks like a Skyhook balloon. Now you got to remember the shape of what you're seeing there is different. It's probably going to be a bit different at different altitudes.
Yeah, that probably is. Obviously, a lower altitude because they could take a picture. A higher altitude would probably be more squashed. I'm assuming. Yeah.
So I was surprised you went with Skyhook. I shouldn't be, but I am. And that's kind of where I'm at. Also, is Skyhook, but there's that little thing that still gets me. Of you can still tell that some type of large balloon, whether of Project Sky, this project with these Skyhook balloons or not, you can still tell that looks like a fucking weather balloon.
Exactly. That's why I wanted to be like aliens, but for now I can just be like aliens.
Yeah.
See?
And here's the other thing.
What I mean.
Here's the other thing that gets me. These people on this farm saw this thing. They couldn't identify it. They're like, this is fucking weird. They call it in. The Air Force goes out, blah, 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 and fly out and check it out. Him and his wingman, they flew out at 15,000 feet. And he went up to 22,000 feet. That is high.
Yes.
Okay.
That is very high.
So he got very close to this thing. We don't know what altitude it was actually at, but he got much closer than the people on the farm. Did he not?
Oh.
Right. And he
about 22,000 feet closer. Yeah.
And his wingmen saw it, and they still couldn't even come to a reasonable conclusion that this was a balloon. At least we haven't been told that. So I'm not 100% on the possibility it was a Skyhook balloon, but I am like 90% there. There's a good chance it was most likely that. Not that they've seen weather balloons before, but they've heard of them. They've probably been told in their military flying career, you got to watch out for balloons. And we're not referring to your party balloons, your happy birthday balloons, whatever they had back then in the 40s. But you want to be looking out for big ass fucking balloons. They're called weather balloons. They could be huge and round. They could be elongated depending on the altitude.
Right.
I think we'd be hearing stuff about that looking like a balloon from the pilots if that were the case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
I'm 100% with you with that.
That's where I'm at. Well, on that note, I'm going to say it once. I'm going to say it twice. I'm going to say it 3 times. 2 times tonight, though. Like, share, subscribe. Comment down below. Let us know what you think about, what was it? Stevie's dog or whoever that was she was talking to.
It was Nanduk.
Let me know what you think about this damn lighting on my face. Is it better? Is it not?
Let's focus on this new lighting. Let's focus on that.
Oh, here, let's focus on it. Well, not specifically on that, but let's focus on his face. I see less wrinkles. I still see some up here. Doesn't matter. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. If you got a personal story, send it to us. Email us at obscuredr1@gmail.com. Type story in the subject line. Tell us your story in the body. Let us know. We'll tell it for you on here anonymously, not anonymously. If you want to be on the show, super easy for you. You call in. You can be anonymous or not, on video or not, up to you. And we can talk about it, have a good time, and that's it.
Yep.
That's it. There's bells, there's whistles, all that. Hit the bells.
Hit the bells, hit the whistles. Get the notifications every Friday at 5/8 Pacific.
5 Pacific.
Yep.
8 Eastern.
I said Pacific.
P&E, baby.
P&E.
All right. Till the next one, me and Mr. Alien over here and Stevie are going to peace out. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to check back with us often for new episodes. Feel free to drop a comment and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Obscured Reality.